Aloha everyone. Welcome to my Facebook Not So Live. The timing here in Italy. I'm at my place here in Italy, and it'd be pretty difficult to do a Facebook Live and get most of you to wake up for it. So I'm sitting out here enjoying the views. Got a few days left here in Italy, and I wanted to post a video about some concepts from Neuro-Linguistic programming. Those of you who have known me over the years, I got into NLP at a very early age. Those of you who have never met me, my name is Dr. Matt James, and I've been doing NLP since I was about 11 years old. That was my first experience with NLP back in 1982, 1983, right around that time frame. And one of the early concepts that I learned, and this was from Tony Robbins at the time. Back in the day, he taught Neuro-Linguistic programming. That's how he got his start. One of the early concepts that I learned was what's called the NLP Presuppositions. It's the presuppositions of Neuro-Linguistic programming. So the two people that invented NLP, Richard Bandler and John Grinder, when they were inventing it, they noticed that people who are successful have a certain mindset. They have a certain way of approaching life, like how they handle things. And these ended up becoming the presuppositions of NLP, kind of like the things that you can presuppose successful people think about. And I'm thinking of doing a series on them, talking about them with you on the Facebook Lives. When I get back to the US, I'll go live on a few of these, because they were really important for me as a kid growing up, because the way that it was presented to me, the way that it was taught in our class is, look, successful people think a certain way, and unsuccessful people think in a very different way. NLP is based on modeling what successful people do. If you see someone who's really gifted at doing something, NLP says, let's model that and emulate that so that we can become successful. That's the essence of NLP. A lot of people have different viewpoints on what NLP is or isn't, and if you just listen to the presuppositions of NLP, you'll get that they're very powerful concepts, very powerful beliefs, even positive reframes in some instances. So the presupposition that I wanted to focus on first is not the first one that I teach when I'm teaching the live classes. I want to focus on the Law of Requisite Variety. Oh, that one made my, put a big smile on my face when I was a kid, because Tony was up there in the front of the room and he said, successful people are flexible. Successful people are able to roll with changes. The law of requisite variety is that the person or thing with the most flexibility is going to end up having an influence over the surrounding environment. Some people put it in a different way. They say that the person with the most flexibility will end up controlling a system. The word control sometimes gets people grumpy, and so I want to avoid any grumpification on this Facebook video. So let's just take a look at it from a very easy perspective, and that is that within any given system, within any given structure, a person or thing that displays a greater amount of flexibility is going to have more influence on that system. What does that mean? Well, think about Encyclopedia Britannica. That's one of my go-to examples of not practicing the law of requisite variety. Encyclopedia Britannica, when I was a kid growing up, we didn't have the internet, and I'm not going to get into, I walked to my NLP classes in the snow, uphill both directions, but we didn't have the internet. If you wanted to find something out, you'd go to the library and you'd pull out the encyclopedia, which is essentially the internet in a book. And it's in their corporate records where they were doing a board of directors meeting, and one of the board members said something to the effect of, we're Encyclopedia Britannica. We have been in print for years, and we're not going to go on this internet thing. It's a fad. If people want the encyclopedia, they'll have to buy it or go to the library. My kids are in the house. They don't know what Encyclopedia Britannica is. They have no clue, because they grew up with the internet, right? My son, a few summers ago when we were here at our place, I'm trying to fix something, and he's like, oh, I'll go find a video on YouTube. And I'm like, Ethan, and I'm like, oh God, they have a video on YouTube for everything. I mean, YouTube has become the encyclopedia. Wikipedia has become the encyclopedia. So anyway, they weren't practicing flexibility. They weren't practicing the law of requisite variety. That is that the world around us is changing. The world around us is ever changing. I mean, the lifestyle here in Italy is so very different than the lifestyle in California, than it is in the Midwest, than it is in Hawaii, where I'm from. So the point of the law of requisite variety is that in the ever-changing world that we live in, we need to learn how to display a greater level of flexibility. I've been reading a bunch of books recently, since there's not a lot more to do out here in Italy, and been doing a little bit of reading. And they're talking about how rapidly things are changing now in comparison to even 20, 30, or 40 years ago. And that organizations and individuals need to be able to be flexible and change with it. When I first started running the Empowerment Partnership, my company, back in 1997, we were doing direct mail and putting ads in magazines like Whole Life Times in order to attract people to come to our events. Those days are gone. I don't do any print advertising anymore. We do everything online through email blasts and social media. Making these videos now. We weren't making these types of videos 10 years ago. And yet I know people in the personal growth field who haven't adjusted what it is that they're doing or what it is that they're teaching. In our NLP trainings, we do meditations in the morning. And I've had people come up to me and say, meditation doesn't belong in NLP. And I just simply smile and go, I'm old school NLP. And that doesn't mean that I'm teaching the 1970s or 80s version of NLP. I learned NLP in the 80s. What successful people did in the 80s is not what successful people do now. It's very different. So a recent article about a year or so ago came out on Yahoo Finance that talked about the strategies of successful individuals in the Bay Area in Silicon Valley. And it's like, what do they do on a regular basis? Mindfulness-based techniques. They crave it. People that run these major successful organizations are doing things to help enhance their mind. They're into energy, meditation. And I'm reading this article and it hit me. We need to shift what we're teaching in our trainings to practice the law of requisite variety, because I want to teach 21st century NLP. So if NLP is based on modeling what successful people do, in 10 years, NLP should be different. We should teach it differently, because 10 years ago, what you needed to do to be successful in neuro-linguistic programming has changed. What you need to be successful in doing farming. There's a lot of farming and agriculture around here. Most of the people that I see out here in the fields, they're using machinery to do it. They're not using handheld tools anymore. You got this big tractor that goes along, and you've got these big, gigantic machines that barrel, I don't even know what it is because I'm not a farmer, but they roll up all of the hay and then they come and pick it up. And you don't see people doing it by hand anymore. Maybe in small areas they might, but the point is you've got to be able to roll with the times. What about your body? Working out. One of the very first things that I learned in working out and doing trade with someone is that you got to change your workout every once in a while in order to confuse your body, to keep it growing, to keep it from becoming stagnant. That's the law of requisite variety. Now, some people that teach NLP, they forget to mention something very important, and that is that you need to be flexible within your value system, within your boundaries. So I was teaching a practitioner training. I don't remember where, it doesn't matter. And this guy comes up to me and he says, I would really love to go to your master practitioner training, which is the next level after our intro event, our practitioner training. And he said, and I don't pay anything full price. I always negotiate and I always get a better deal. So I'm talking to you because I would like to negotiate. And I smiled and I said, I don't negotiate. I don't negotiate our NLP trainings. We already do a scholarship model where most people charge, $4,000 or $5,000 for a practitioner training, and we do ours for under a couple $100 and give all of the same value and content, plus videos and a full recording of a practitioner training and a 30-day action plan. I'm like, you just got an incredible deal. And he's like, well, I'm not going to sign up unless I get to negotiate. And I said, I don't negotiate. And he said, you're not practicing the law of requisite variety. And I said, I'm not going to get into an NLP battle with you. This isn't like Star Wars where it's a Jedi mind trick. I said, the law of requisite variety is being flexible within a system and also within your values. Within your values. So, as a company, we don't do negotiations because that's outside of our values. However, we change our program. We add new things to it. We alter it. We were online early. I mean, look at our domain names, nlp.com, hypnosis.com, huna.com. We jumped on social media as quickly as we could. We've digitized a ton of the things that we do. That's called being flexible. If there's something that goes beyond what you are comfortable doing, you need to be flexible within your value system. So with your kids, with your partner, with your business, with everything that you do, you have to display a certain level of flexibility, especially with how quickly things change now. And you need to be flexible within your value system. Our company has been asked numerous times by people, can't you just take every concept and put it online, or Huna, our more spiritual teachings? Can't you just put the entire Huna online? And as a doctor of psychology, there are certain things that I would want to see demonstrated live in a training. So right now, we still run live events if you want to be certified. Huna is a very sacred thing, not just to my company, to me personally, to my family. Teachings that go back 28 generations unbroken into the Hawaiian culture. There are certain things that I can record, and there are certain things that are just meant to be experienced live and shared from a oral concept, from sharing with your words, with your stories, with your experience. And so we've become way more flexible over the years as a company. I've become flexible as an individual, and yet you need to remain true to your values. So for those of you that understand the law of requisite variety, one of the things that you can do, just like a quick tip as we wrap up, is look at the different areas of your life. Look at your career. Are you being flexible within your career, within your family structure, within your relationship, within your physical fitness? Are you displaying a certain level of flexibility to help you get the results that you want to get in life? Or are you hitting a level of being stagnation, and avoiding changing things, even though everything around you is possibly changing? And as you think about how you can become more flexible in your life, make sure you do it within your value structure. Make sure that you do it within your belief structure so that you remain true to who you are, and that you are able to navigate the path true to your heart, true to your mind, and also being flexible so that the world around you doesn't leave you behind like it did to Encyclopedia Britannica. That's the law of requisite variety. That's one of a bunch of these different NLP presuppositions that I'll be going over during the next Facebook Live that I'll do when I get back to the US. Until then, take care, and I look forward to seeing you in the future. Aloha.